Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol battle report. A larger scale battle for you here today. It's going to be 20 threat of the Guardians of the Galaxy going up against the Avengers affiliation. It's full crews, 6 models in each. We're going to take a look at them in a second. But please do remember to subscribe if you want to see more content in the future. Marvel Crisis Protocol and the other games we cover here. With that said, let's look at the teams. So here are our Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, the Vision, and some new miniatures at the back there. Well, Winter Soldier's here as well. But we also have Hawkeye, and then we have Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow, and Team Tactics cards, Avengers Assemble, Second Wind, Field Dressing, Rocket Boots, and Medpack. So there's a couple of new cards in there as well. We're going to see how the two new... Well, they're not even Avengers affiliation, which is a little weird, but we're going to see how the two new sort of Avengers fare in this setup. Behold your Guardians of the Galaxy, and also Thor is there. Little, I don't know, preview of what Guardians 3 might be like eventually down the line. So we have Star-Lord, we have Groot, we have Rocket Raccoon, we have Nebula at the back there, Gamora, and Thor, who's just chilling out with them. Also, the Power Stone is being held by Quill, so that is bringing them to 20 threat. And their Team Tactics cards are Crew of the Milano, Daughters of Thanos, We Are Groot, Deadly Duo, and Heavy Firepower, which is another new one. So hopefully we're getting some of those on the table and not just having them devoured in order to do the Guardians affiliation bonus. We'll see. Let's take a look at the missions. So the extraction mission being played today is alien ship crashes downtown, and that is the threat value being used. So that's the 3 rubble piles, one of which will turn into the Kree power core, probably towards the end of the game if current luck is anything to go by. And then the other one, the secure, is Riot Sparks over Extremist 2.0, so that's the 4 consoles. And you just have to secure them by being within 1, but you can also interact with them at the cost of 1 power if you're within 2 to heal a point of damage. And that is already all set up. So the Kree power cores are down the middle, and then the Extremist consoles around the edge. But both crews are going to have to get set up first, and then we'll see who's going first. So both crews are now set up, sorry, both teams. Force Fab, we've been playing a lot of Batman recently, with the Guardians on the edge closest to us here. So the two sisters are over there. Then we have Thor and Star-Lord competing for who can get the highest on the level because they both have flight. Then we also have Groot and Rocket over here. And we come around this end of the table. Iron Man's off on his lonesome here. Vision is here. And then the rest of them are basically clumped together here, just waiting to charge towards the centre. It will be the Guardians going first though as we enter battle round 1. Groot is but a simple tree, and he got the game started by moving forward. He only moves rather small, so he just hopped the barrier there because it's a relatively small wall. So he hopped it to secure this Extremist console, did nothing else with his other action. He's just going to stand there, let Rocket Raccoon get in behind him and use him as a human shield. Tree shield? Whatever. Iron Man was next. He did start behind this building. He has flight, so he can ignore the fact that this building is quite tall. Just moved medium once, up to roughly there. Moved medium again, right there. He spent his 1 power to try and find the Kree power core in the rubble, and failed. If you don't remember what that is, you roll 2 dice. If either one of them is a crit, congratulations, you found the power core. And historically, that usually takes a while. And as per, he didn't find anything. He is securing this console, but yeah, he wasted his power. So Gamora was up next. She moved long twice. Once was enough to get her to like there, but she had to close the distance, so she just moved long again. She searched the Kree power, or for the Kree power core in the rubble. She spent 1 power. She did not roll a crit, so she, much like Iron Man, has wasted her power. She is also now contesting that Extremist console though, so no one's claiming it currently. And Nebula doesn't count towards claiming objectives, so that might stay neutral. We'll see. So for whatever reason, that area of the map is just where the attention of turn 1 is, because Vision activated next. He selected energy for his extra defense, or his form, this turn. He flew up onto the building because he has flight as well, and plopped himself down here. Can you guess what happened? He spent his 1 power to look for the Kree power core. He didn't find it. It remains rubble. The God of Thunder decided to make his presence felt by activating next. He moved forwards medium, right smack dab into the middle map to check that rubble pile for the Kree power core. He spent 1 of his 2 power on it, and he found nothing. So one of the new miniatures on the field, Hawkeye activated. He moved up medium, so that he was claiming this Extremist console. Apologies for the glare on it there. Then he took a shot with his quiver and arrows at Thor. He just has one basic attack, but it does extra stuff if he gets a wild. He didn't get a wild though. All said and done, he did 2 damage to Thor, and he generated himself 2 power for that. No rubble power to check over there though, so that's his turn done. Rocket Raccoon was up next. He moved forward medium, then tried to get a shot on Hawkeye. He's range 5 as well. He couldn't quite get in close enough without the line of sight being entirely blocked or anything like that. So he just moved medium again just to help secure this Extremist console. No power spent, staying next to Groot obviously for the free bodyguarding, and now it's back over to the Avengers. The Winter Soldier was the next to activate. He moved medium away from Cap and heading towards that end of the table where nothing is happening. He didn't double move though, he moved once and then he shot his assault rifle at Thor. All said and done, 1 damage, no proc on the bleed, and that's 1 power generated to each of them. Now it's back over to either Star-Lord or Nebula. So Star-Lord just moved forwards twice into the centre. He spent 1 of his 3 power, because remember he's got the Power Stone, to try and search the rubble there for the Kree Power Core. He did not get it, because a crit on 2 dice is literally impossible, it would seem. So now it's over to Captain America or Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow. So we're actually up to the end of Battle Round 1, as the final 3 activations were simply movement. So first of all it was Captain America. He moved forwards twice, to there. Important to note, he is not within 1 of either of these, so he spent no power and is not securing, because he moved medium and he was a bit too far to the side. Then Nebula moved long twice. She doesn't contest, so she is not counting as doing anything, so she's just kind of shifted to the side to make it harder to hit them both, with like a Vision's beam for instance. So she's just there. And then finally Agent Black Widow is just helping secure the middle there. She has range 3 on her pistols, which isn't good enough to hit the centre. So we are going to the cleanup for Battle Round 1 with nobody finding the power core and a couple of the Extremist consoles being contested. So with everything tallied, it is 2 victory points to the Avengers for majority claim on that Extremist console, and they're securing that one back there. The Guardians are securing this one, so that's 2 victory points, 1 victory point. No victory points for the Power Core because it's not in play, and the one over by Cap, as previously stated, is not held. So as we go into the power phase for Battle Round 2, it will still be the Guardians of the Galaxy going first. Thor got Battle Round 2 started by burning all 6 of his power he had. He moved forwards medium, he unleashed the God of Thunder on poor of the 2 miniatures that are new on this side. Hawkeye took 4 damage and is dazed. Black Widow did better with her energy defense, because Hawkeye only has 2 energy defense. Black Widow only took 2 damage, but Hawkeye ain't getting a turn this battle round, and Black Widow has lost 2 of her 5 HP, I think this one has. So not great. Thor burned all his power, but he did manage to do some damage. We're back over to this side of the table because Vision activated first for the Avengers. He is in his solid form, whichever is the one that makes him better against physical attacks. He spent 1 power to search the power for the power core, rolled 2 skulls. No crits exist in this universe. Then he did a solar beam in such a way that it can catch both of them, and as you can see it did 1 damage to Gamora and 2 damage to Nebula. Oh sorry, forgot to mention his other actual action was to use Synthesis to give himself more power to play with, but you can only search the power core once per activation. Star-Lord was the next to activate. He spent 1 power to try and search the rubble for the power core, did not find it. Then he moved slightly to be in a better position on this side of it, but he stayed there. He wanted to find it because he doesn't want it to be over where it's less likely the Guardians will take the fight. But he didn't find it, so he moved in. He went full auto with his element guns for 4 power, I think it was. On Black Widow, it did 3 damage all said and done, which is exactly enough to daze her, so she will also not be getting a turn. Great showcase for the 2 new characters on that side, but hey, over to the Avengers to see how they respond. So Iron Man activated, spent 1 power to search the rubble pile. Of course he didn't find anything. Then he did 2 repulsor blasts on Nebula. The first one hit her for 1 damage. The second one got a wild for pushing her back small but did no damage. She is 1 hit away from being dazed. If you're wondering why her and not Gamora, Gamora only does physical damage whereas Nebula can do energy, so both these 2 currently are very, very strong against non-energy attacks. That was the thinking, but she is still standing and is going to get a turn sooner or later. So with no one on the Guardian side in immediate danger, Nebula activated, closed the distance, And then use 3 power for Shock Sword Assault on Vision, which can do stun if she gets a while, but she didn't. It's a 7 energy attack dice. She whiffed very badly. Vision only had 2 energy defense because he's blocking against physical. Rolled 2 crits, so he took no damage. And again, Nebula is not contesting any objectives. She does get a bonus if she's attacking someone who's contesting, but that didn't matter, it was that bad of a whiff. Also worth pointing out though, when she activates, she heals 1 damage, so now she's 2 away from being knocked out. So Captain America was next. He did a move action first of all to put himself close enough to search the rubble pile there for the core. Of course he didn't find it, what are you asking for? Then he did a shield throw on Star-Lord, hit him for 2 damage, got the wild, so ricocheted into Thor, and also did 1 damage, which is actually, he rolled very, very lucky on his rolls there, except for the one that mattered for finding the power core. So now it's either Groot or Rocket Raccoon for the Guardian, or Gamora, which is probably the most beneficial one to go next. So Gamora was up, she searched the rubble pile, and of course she didn't find anything, because why would she? Crits are impossible. Then she did 2 of her free basic sword attacks on Iron Man, just because he has 1 less physical defense than Vision currently. She used, I think it's just called Godslayer, which is the name of her sword. Whiffed quite badly on both of them. First one did no damage, second one did 2, but because of Invincible Iron Man, gets reduced to 1 damage on him. So now it's over to the Winter Soldier to end the turn for the Avengers, then Rocket and Groot get to activate with immunity. Whatever. So the Winter Soldier activated and he had to change his tactics. He was heading over where Captain America was, but can't do that anymore. So he had to fall back with the medium move, so that he was claiming this Extremis console since Hawkeye and Black Widow are knocked out. Then he just fired his assault rifle at Thor because he doesn't have enough power to do his red strike or whatever it's called, and didn't get through his defense. So that's it. So now Rocket and Groot get to do what they do, and then that will take us to the end of Battle Round 2. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. So all that happened with these two is a slight reshuffling for Groot so that Rocket could slide in there and then take a shot with his gun at Captain America, and did not get through his defense, so that's it. And now we're into the cleanup phase. So it will be the Avengers going first in Battle Round 3, but first of all, points. Guardians hold this one for 1, and the Avengers hold 1, 2, 3 for 3 victory points, giving them a little bit of a lead. And of course, the Kree Power Core is still not in play. Now, I think traditionally turn 3 is where it happens. Let's see if we stick with tradition and have that. So Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow got the turn started, and she had a pretty effective turn. She used her Widow's Sting, or Widow's Kiss, whatever it's called, for 3 power on Thor, and did 2 damage, which was enough to daze him, so he's not getting a turn. Then she fired her automatic pistols at Star-Lord, which automatically gives you another second attack if you're attacking the same person. With the attack, I mean. So she did 2. First one did 1 damage, second one did 2. Second one would have done more, but his plucky attitude trait kicked in, or whatever one it is, where if he doesn't roll any successes, he gets to re-roll the hand. So he's alive. Star-Lord has 1 HP remaining, and it's over to the Guardians for their first activation. So Gamora was first up. She spent 1 power to search for the power core, and can you guess? She didn't find it. So then she did 2 Godslayer attacks on Iron Man. The first one did 3 damage, all said and done. Well, it did 4, but then, 1 gets reduced. Second one did 2, reduced to 1, which was enough to daze him, so he is not getting a turn. Also, Vision is protecting against physical attacks again, just to be clear. And it's back over to the Avengers. Vision was next up, and first of all he spent 2 power on Calculated Trajectory to throw Gamora at Nebula. They both took 1 damage as a result of that. Then he did 2 solar beams, both of which rolled poorly, both of which were defended against amazingly well. Just so many crits rolled on their behalf. They took no damage from 2 solar beams that was hitting them both with each. Terrible display, until he spent 1 power at the end of his turn to search the rubble, and he found the power core. So Vision now has the power core on his person. I also think I knocked him back a little bit there. He is within 1 of the thing. So yeah, he's holding that now, and it's over to the Guardians. So knowing full well that he's very close to being dazed, but Vision is the target, Star-Lord activated. Also the other 2 rubble piles are gone now, obviously, because the core has been found. He moved, and then went full auto with his element guns on Vision. Vision spent 2 to rapid phase to change to good energy defense, so he had 5 defense dice. Didn't matter, rolled very, very badly, didn't have a single success, so 4 damage got through. No wilds though, so no status effects. But yeah, he's 2 away from death, or sorry, from being dazed. He is still in energy form, so that will matter once Nebula goes, but that's still nasty. So Hawkeye was next up, but first of all, when his activation began, Second Wind was played. So any Avengers characters can play this, spend a power. Those that do can heal 1 damage. Vision has healed 1 damage. So he's got 3 on him of his 6 HP. Hawkeye did a hook arrow to move 3, then shot Quill with an arrow. It did 1 damage because Quill got to reroll because of his plucky attitude on his first attempt to block. That was enough. Quill has been dazed. So Nebula had one job, and that was take out Vision. She wouldn't have been able to pick up the power core, but she could have at least denied points. She did her Shock Sword Assault for 3, even though Vision is protected well against energy at the present, or was at the present. But the key thing about that is she's allowed to move within 1 afterwards. It did no damage, didn't get through his defense. So when she was within 1, she just needed to be within 2. She did her free Physical Assault. Vision spent 2 power to Rapid Phase again, so he was protected against physical. And it's lucky he did, because otherwise he would have taken 3 damage, which would have been enough to daze him. Instead, he took 1. So he's still got 2 HP left. Now it's over to Captain America or the Winter Soldier. So the God of Thunder activated next, and he wanted to give chase for that Kree power core, so he moved Medium to the corner of the Triple X bar. Then he did a For Asgard, which is a charge and strike as 1 action. All the way over here, pardon me, into Vision, but he wasn't able to do any damage, which is unfortunate, because if it had done damage, then he would have been staggered, which would have hindered his ability to get away further. So we're staying out front of the Triple X bar because Hawkeye was up next. He fired 2 point blank arrows into Quill. The first one whiffed entirely. This is 5 physical dice as well. Second one missed but got the wild, or sorry, didn't get through his defense, but did get a wild, so he gets to pick a stats effect. So Quill is now bleeding. He then spent 2 down to 1 to hook arrow all the way over here so that he's within 1 of this Extremis console, and he's in base to base with Nebula as well. So now either Quill, Groot or Rocket get to do something. So Quill was up next, and he went for his Hail Mary. He ignored the fact he's bleeding. He flew up onto the roof. He went full auto with his element guns against 2 defense dice. It did a massive 4 damage and finally got a wild. So he picked bleed. So Vision can't bleed. Couldn't have done that. So it'll be slower shock or something. Yeah, Synthesoid Avenger, he can't bleed. So he's still got a status effect though that will affect him, and 4 damage. So he has 2 health left and is in a spot of bother. But obviously that does also mean Quill is taking 1 damage because he did not cure his bleed. Iron Man activated next and decided to go try and help out Vision. So he flew up onto the building, and because he's on his wounded side, he did a Unibeam which caught both Star-Lord and Thor, did 3 damage to each of them as it happens, and that is enough to kill Star-Lord. So he is gone, as is the Guardian's trait, not that it had been used, but it's gone. Thor's got 8 health on his wounded side, so he's not in any particular danger. Oh, and also the stats effect on Vision got changed to slow, just so he can't get away as easily. So now it's over to Rocket or Groot, who've just been camping that objective the whole time. So for a moment there it was looking like, well, what can Rocket and Groot really do? But then Rocket went for a Hail Mary. So he moved so that he was just within 5, so he could shoot straight. He spent all 4 power on a Hadron Collider, or whatever his Super 7 energy gun attack is called, because Gamora and Nebula aren't on the board technically right now. And he shot and hit Hawkeye for 5 damage. He just one-shot Hawkeye on his wounded side, denying a point for that Extremis console right there. That was pretty amazing. Now for the rest of the people, for Captain America, Black Widow, Winter Soldier, and Groot, they're probably not going to move, but give it a second, see if anything happens. But that might be the way things stand at the end of a turn. So the only real adjustment was Agent Black Widow, who only moves medium compared to normal Black Widow, but 2 medium moves from where she was standing on that wall was enough to get within 1 to claim that Extremis console. Avengers Assemble was also played, so that any Avengers could spend 1 to advance small. Vision advanced small, so that he can try and get away, basically. And that does take us to the cleanup of Battle Round 4. So at the end of that battle round, Vision is still holding the Kree power core for 2 victory points. The Avengers hold that Extremis console, that Extremis console, and that Extremis console. The Guardians just hold this one. It's basically insurmountable that they can catch up at this point. The Avengers are on 14, playing 4. They still need 2 victory points to actually win the game, and it's going to come down to whether or not Vision drops the core, If he drops the core, there's a chance they can deny and make it go to turn 6, but that wouldn't make them win. We're gonna jump into the start of Battle Round 5 just to see what happens with Vision. So via God of Thunder and a strike, Thor did actually manage to take Vision out. He had 1 damage left on him, did 5 all said and done. The Kree Power Core is placed on Thor because he had 1 power left well, he had more than 1 power left. He picked it up, it's on his card, so that would be 2 points for the Guardians of the Galaxy. However, the Guardians need to stop the Avengers from holding at least 2 of that, and that. The one Captain America's holding is basically safe. Bucky's one, Gamora could get to it and contest, but Iron Man could make sure the majority is down here because Nebula doesn't count for claiming objectives, so therefore it's not possible, as far as we can tell, to stop the double claim from happening, so therefore there's no point playing on because the Avengers will definitely score what they need to hit the score cap of 16, and as a result we're going to call the match there. So for most of that battle, the Avengers were getting the you-know-what beaten out of them by the Guardians, but the Guardians were resting on their laurels. Early on, it was assumed that on 2... You know what? Let's see how many times it takes on camera. 2 dice. Huh. So that's that would have found the Kree Power Core on 1 roll. It was assumed early on that surely Star-Lord or Thor or someone over here on the Guardian side would pick up the Power Core and then they could just run, and they'd have fire support from Groot and Rocket. That's why they just made a nice little nest there. If someone came close, they would have used like We Are Groot to heal, or the whatever the card is called where Rocket gets to fire at 3 individual targets. It would have been wonderful, but that all depended on them getting the core, and of course the core didn't get found until partway through turn 3. So by then it was probably already too late. So a flaw in the strategy, but they were definitely winning the beat people up award. It's a shame that doesn't score victory points, but well, if you were playing Black Order it would, now that we know what Thanos' affiliation trait is. But for the Guardians, nope. There wasn't really any ideal moment to use their affiliation bonus either. I'm not sure what the best use case for that is personally. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. There will be more to come in the future. The new Black Order releases are delayed in the UK by a week, at least a week, compared to everywhere else as far as I can tell. But we'll hopefully see Thanos and his team eventually. Thank you for watching. Please do remember to subscribe and see you in the future. Ta-ta for now.